Hey guys, so I decided that I'm going to try to do Vlogmas this year. I think I may have attempted to do this once before. I'm not sure. I've made so many YouTube videos. I'm not really sure what's out there. So, but I missed December 1st, which was yesterday, because I was busy with work, and then I'm just taking care of some business with my sorority and trying to get a few things accomplished before the year end. So yesterday, that was like my major focus. I probably should have recorded just to kind of talk through and my frustrations. So, but today I wanted to talk to you guys about seasonal affective disorder. I don't know if you guys know, but I have a doctorate in behavioral health, and so with that being said, a lot of things that affect our behaviors is our mental health status. And this doesn't mean that you know having a mental health concern or a diagnosis is like the end of the world, because it's not. If you are human, which we all are, your mental health status changes sometimes on a daily basis depending on what job you have, or what stage in life you're at. Jobs, death, divorce, grief, all of that brings about a mental health concern. And sometimes they're very short lived, and then sometimes they a little longer and drag out because of where we are. But so when I talk about seasonal affective disorder, this is a time of the year where it's getting dark earlier in the day, and so people are feeling very tired. And I can say this for myself, and I I'm one of these people. I'm like, okay, oh my gosh, I need to be in bed at 6:30 when I should be probably at the gym. And so usually when the time changes and it gets dark earlier, I tend not to go to the gym in the evening time, just because I feel like I need to be at home. I'm not a night owl, so being out at nighttime is not my forte. It's just something I don't do. So that's when I tend to go to the gym earlier in the morning time, and then I go like on my lunch break. If I happen to have a break between like 2 and 4 that I can get to the gym, then I'll do that as well. But that's my schedule really doesn't allow me to go to the gym on a regular basis at 2 o'clock during the daytime. So seasonal affective disorder, you have symptoms such as like moodiness, you're drained of energy, you really just don't show much excitement, and it goes along the lines of depression. But if this lasts longer than 30 days, you need to go to your doctor and get it checked. A lot of people experience during this time of the year. And then too, you have to think about, then there's the holidays, the New Year's coming up. And with holidays, you're thinking about loved ones, you think about buying gifts, and just the hustle and the bustle of the holidays and the expectations. And sometimes that have a damper on how we're feeling. So I would suggest, when you start to feel that way, surround yourself with things that's going to elevate your mood. So if working out helps you, which it helps me tremendously. So when I go to the gym, I feel like very energized, and I feel like I feel happy, especially when I go in the morning time. I feel like my day for the rest of the day is just off to a great start, and my mood is just so good. My office is really small. I have things in my office. It's not as festive, but I realized during the Christmas break, I think I'm going to come in and put some color, some pictures on my wall that has some colors that's bright, pictures that's of significance that I could relate to happy memories. So even if your office, if you have to bring in decor or plants, playing certain types of music while you're working, I tend to stay away from like sad music during the holidays. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to listen to a sad song, but it depends. For me, and I'm talking from experience, so for me, it's been very difficult for me to deal with the holidays, because my mother passed away but right before, like a week before Thanksgiving. So she was buried a couple of days before Thanksgiving. So when I think about Thanksgiving now, it just brings such a dreary mood. And so I feel like I'm having to do things to pep myself up, and it don't last long. And then I look forward to like Christmas break because I'm off work for what 2.5 weeks, and so I'm doing a lot of fun stuff and catching up around of things around the house. And so and taking on the task to make yourself happy. And it takes a lot to do that because we're so used to taking care of everyone else. So when we're struggling with the whole seasonal affective disorder, we tend to like want to mope and just be all into our emotions. And sometimes we neglect other people because we don't really know how to feel, how to elevate ourselves back up to that mood. And so I pulled up some information, like the symptoms of seasonal affective disorder. And so this is coming from the Mayo Clinic, and it talks about you feel really, really depressed. You don't really have like your energy level is low. You really don't have like interest into like things that once brought enjoyment into your life. Problems sleeping. So all of this is like the same symptoms of depression. And again, depression is something that we all struggle with at certain times of our life, and then we move on from it. But if it lasts longer than 30 days, definitely see your physician. For me, if it lasts more than 2 weeks, I'm like, I need to go to the doctor. You experience changes in your appetite or your weight. So for me, whenever I feel like moody or depressed, I don't eat a whole lot. So when I'm going to the gym, I'm burning off calories and energy that I really don't have. And so I have to make myself eat a really, really high protein diet when I'm feeling depressed. Some people tend to eat more when they're depressed. I avoid food at all costs. I don't know why that is. My appetite just goes like I don't have a good appetite. I'm feeling very agitated. I remember last year about this time, I was so agitated with everything. Everything bothered me because it seemed like things that was really significant to my life, it seems like everything occurs around this time of the year. And your brain remembers that. It takes you back to a place in your life and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do? How can I get over that? That was last year. That was 2 years ago. But for some reason, the way God designed us, we have that time of the year, it snaps in. And I was so agitated. Everything bothered me. And for about 2 weeks, I just felt like, oh my gosh, I am not myself. And so I had to restructure everything in my life and everything that reminded me of that time. And it's just like, I don't know if I posted that video, but it's like going through a heartbreak, how you go and you rearrange and you change your environment. That's what I did. And I think that's why too I've been changing things in my house as well, because I want to feel like comfort, I want to feel comfort. Having problems sleeping, I'm not a sleeper, so when things really bother me, I lose a lot of sleep. And so sometimes I have to take melatonin or I have to take trazodone to sleep, especially when I go like 2 days without a good rest. I feel like when the weekend comes, I need to take something to help get me to sleep. I've never had thoughts of like suicide or harming anyone or death or anything like that. Some people do, and that's when you really have to think about other mental health issues that's going on as well, and the imbalance of the serotonin and so forth, and all those little things that click in your mind that's making your brain work. So usually like seasonal affective disorder occurs from the fall into the spring, the fall and the winter months. But then comes spring when the change of the time of the day changes, when it's starting to get later, the daylight is lasting longer. You tend to feel better, and then the summertime comes and you have all these activities and you get all happy again. So some things that can help. You always want to follow up with your doctor anytime that you see. I wouldn't really wait 30 days, but the moment that you see and you feel like something's not right, just go and get it checked. So it's not even with seasonal affective disorder, just depression, if you grief and loss issues, heartbreak, because when you're going through all of that stuff, it changes everything with how your body is operating, even from your digestive system and how your food, I mean, we complain about headaches and stomach aches and all these aches and pains, and it's because our bodies are so thrown off with all of this unnecessary stuff that it's not really used to. um, so we talked about like some of the causes of seasonal affective disorder, and even like depression again, because seasonal affective disorder, I mean, it's the acronym is SAD, so to me it relates to depression. um, so you have like your circadian rhythm, and you have like people who work night shift and they have to go back to day shift and then they go back to night shift. Their circadian rhythm is off, which affects their mood. um it's like crazy. I'm not a night person, so a nighttime job just really would do me in. Your serotonin levels, when they tend to drop, there's a chemical imbalance in the brain, so which is going to affect your mood. It's going to affect uh, it's really going to affect everything. And so your melatonin levels, so this happens to be like with your sleep pattern. So, and we talk about like risk factors. If there's history of like mental health in your family, you definitely want to pay attention to anything that causes you to go in a slump. And you know, there's like anxiety issues, like anxiety disorders. And again, these are things that we all experience situational basis, and sometimes we do come out of it. um, if you're female, you have a high chance of depression, of course, because we do have hormones that changes within certain times of the month. So this also affects seasonal affective disorder. And then also like age, and this is more likely to occur in like older adults, especially like the aging population. They call it like sundowners. The family history of depression and mental health concerns, bipolar disorder. And I joke and I tell my students all the time, like, hey, if you are a female and you have a menstrual cycle, chances are you might have bipolar, because, you know, people tend to be different around that time of the month. And living far from the equator. And so, and there's much research on that itself, especially like for those who live in Alaska. You can just like Google and research um, um, the research that they've shown, like people in Alaska. I have a cousin that was recently living there and now has like moved, and I think that was one of their issues as well. So like, what can you do? So like when you're getting to the point, of course, you want to schedule an appointment with your doctor. Take your vitamins and supplements. I mean, vitamins are very essential to helping to level out the imbalances of what our body is experiencing. And so, and don't be afraid to ask questions and just say, hey, this is happening to me. Like when you go to the doctor, and just say, and talk about things that's going on in your life, because sometimes when you go to doctors, and make sure this is your primary care physician, because if you go to someone who really don't know you, they may give you a diagnosis of these things that you really don't need. So, just tell them, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm going through, these are the changes in my life or whatever. And most of the time they say, okay, this is situational, and then they may discuss options for you. And this is maybe like medication. There's different tests that you can go through. It varies. So there's lab work to test your hormone levels, your blood count, and all of that stuff. Because even like when your iron level drops, oh my gosh, and I know that's part of my problem, because my iron level, even like last year, like right now, I take iron tablets like 3 times a day. And when I went to the doctor back in May, he actually asked me, did I want to have a blood transfusion, because my blood count was so low, my iron was so low. But it's always been like that all of my life, and that's something I struggle with, is low iron. Having a psychological evaluation, so your primary care would actually refer you out for that. And then here's the thing, like, people don't like taking medication. I don't like taking medication, but sometimes we have to take medication to get us balanced. And so, and once that happens, sometimes your physician will slowly wean you off of that. I know working in clinic, even with working with children and youth who have depression and anxiety, I see my pediatricians prescribe medication, and they only prescribe medication to those who they feel like would really benefit from the medication. So it's not like they're writing prescription like kids are going to the candy store or anything like that. But okay, so we talked a little about like medications and so forth. So one of the things that doctors do to treat seasonal affective disorder and even depression, you have to, and anxiety, because they're all related to each other. So you have light therapy, which is called phototherapy, and this is when you sit in front of a certain amount of feet or inches in front of like a special light. It's kind of like a light box, and I relate this to like really like a light box when you're filming videos and you have the big box lights. They kind of remind me of those, but you have to be exposed to light. And some physicians would even say sit outside for a certain amount of time whenever the sun is at its peak or near its peak during the day to get that extra vitamin D into your system. So natural light is the best light to go with. But if you can't get that, then those light boxes mimics, the natural lighting that you would benefit from the most. Usually that's the first line of defense that most physicians will go to. And I know one of the pediatricians that I work with, he was like, this kid just never came outside. And so we were like, okay, what's going on with the kid? And so he was telling, it was pretty much depression. And working in clinic, I actually have the opportunity to where, just like on my full-time job, that I can actually go and make home visits to families. And so I went to this home, and I can understand why the child was experiencing the symptoms that he was experiencing, because you walked into this house, the walls were really dark. There was no sunlight coming through the home because there was like these older blinds, and then there was curtains, and then the mom had put up these other little things, so there was no light coming through this house whatsoever. So, and this was a very small home, but most of the lighting that did come in the home was kind of like in the back of the home. And so the room that the child slept in had no window. So here again, we have a small confined space, pretty much like my office, but at least I have some light. And then I have a door over there with a little window. But in his case, when the door closed, it was completely dark in the room because there was no window. There was no window in the door. There was no window in the wall. And so he did have a TV in his room, but it was more like a 20-something inch TV. So there was very little light that was coming through that room. And when I say there was no light, because the light fixture in the room did not work. So he had kind of like a small lamp on the side. So he wasn't getting much light at all. And so, and we did monitor him over the course of a month. And we just kind of worked with some things in the environment that the mom could change. Sitting outside, playing outside, just getting him active and getting him into some sports. And just over the course of that month, we just saw a change in his behaviors, and then we saw a change in his moods and so forth. And I did ask about the family, and this family was like some time ago, but I did ask about the family, and they did move into another home. And I asked the nurse, and I said, was it a home with windows? Like, it was there windows in this house, because that's what the kid needed. And today our children don't play outside like they used to. Like when I was growing up, we played outside the entire day. So we got light, natural lighting an entire day. And the only time we came inside, of course, was to eat and to rest. But now kids sit inside, and they're either in front of a TV, they're playing video games. And then if you're into gaming, they like to keep the atmosphere dark so they can see the graphics on the screen and so forth. So we want to look at light therapy, and then certain medications, which we talked about a little about. So you're talking about Wellbutrin, you're talking about like Ativan, like for anxiety, Zoloft for the depressive moods. There's so many out there, and you cannot discredit taking the medications if you're having an episode and you really need that medication. Again, it could be for short term, but allow your doctor to slowly drop the dosage of that medication, so that it won't be such a bad effect on your mood once you get off of the medications, because you could have some irrational thinking and behaviors just because you stopped taking the medication. So there's psychotherapy, and this just basically you go and you talk to a professional. You go and you talk to a professional. And in our community, African American community, like, we do not go see therapists. Like, we handle this stuff on our own. Now, you do have some, don't get me wrong, and I hate to generalize everyone, but in our culture, we just don't seek out psychotherapy. Because when you say psychotherapy, people think, oh my gosh, they're crazy, they want to harm themselves, or they want to harm somebody else. But it's good to have someone that you go and talk to who is completely neutral in your situation, and talk to them about what's going on in your life. Because once you're able to verbalize all of those feelings, that you tend to feel better. And then it's not someone that's saying, well, you need to do this, you need to do that, or you know, why are you feeling this way? Like, they're judging you. When you go see a therapist, no one's judging you. We're just there to help explore your options to get to a better you. I like the way I put that. So a therapist is going to help identify and change some of the negative thinkings that you have and your behaviors. Again, my background is behavioral health, so I like to think of everything. Your environment has an effect on your behaviors. Your behaviors have an effect on your environment. So they're holding each other's hand. So if you have a positive environment, you're going to have a positive behavior, right? So you want to be doing things that's going to make you feel better about what you're doing, who you are, and where you're trying to go, and move away from feeling being like you're falling into a slump. So learning healthy ways to cope, in which all of the things that I have mentioned to you, those are healthy ways. And then changing your diet too, that helps tremendously. So you don't want to be eating all of this junk food and sodas and and not really taking care of your inside, because what you put in is what you're going to put out. Learning how to manage your stress, and this could be walking, this could be jogging, this can be listening to certain music, and just journaling, like writing down your thoughts and feelings. So, and doing those things, you're going to have a better, it's going to make you feel better, and therefore your lifestyle is going to change. And so you want to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with resources that's going to help elevate you, and get you back to a happier place in your life. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this vlog on today. And so I'm not sure what tomorrow's vlog is going to bring. But most of my vlogs are probably going to be just me sitting down and talking with you guys. I do have some vlogs that's recorded that I may post as well. I just need to learn how to transfer from my iPhone into because I have the iMovie, but then when I go to upload from my iPhone to YouTube, it tells me that the length is too long. But if I do it from my computer in iMovie, I can upload as long of a video as I can. But on my iPhone, it limits me, and I don't like that. So anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.